Hey, my name is Shilpa Patel and I'm obsessed with all things career development. I am a pharmacist turned entrepreneur who's transformed my passions into purpose. I've grown a podcast that has reached thousands of people across the globe. I'm building an online business and I've left my 9-to-5 to chase my dreams. I've walked this path of transformation myself, and now I'm here to share insights, strategies, and stories to help you carve out a career that you love. Career opportunities, personal development, challenges, growth, and building life skills are all things we discuss on this podcast. Be prepared to be inspired and motivated to step outside of your comfort zone. This is the Pharmacist Diaries podcast.
Hello and welcome back to Pharmacist Diaries and episode 2 of my series with the wonderful Shilpa Patel. I hope that you've checked out episode 1. If you haven't, go and have a look at that because we shared a little bit about Shilpa's journey from community pharmacy to GP practice and becoming a practice partner. But we also talked about the transition from community pharmacy specifically to a GP practice role. And she gave so many amazing tips and advice for those pharmacists who want to make that transition. So go and check that episode out if you haven't already. But today's episode, episode 2 of the series, is all about how Shilpa has developed and grown and nurtured a team of 10 pharmacists in her GP practice. I'm super excited to launch this episode. So yeah, enjoy it. Welcome back.
Thank you. Really excited again to be here because nobody's actually shown an interest in this thing. The fact that I've got 10 pharmacists working in one general practice. I've been shouting about it recently on LinkedIn because I suddenly one day thought, this is really strange, isn't it? That I've got 10 pharmacists and there's more pharmacists than GPs in my practice, which is a huge thing.
That is insane. Like, I actually haven't even heard that before because you mentioned it in episode 1 and, you know, sitting back and reflecting. I've never been in a role where I've built a team of multiple people. I've been part of organizations that are building teams and I've mentored or I've been part of the recruitment process. I might have helped in the hiring process, but I haven't actually been solely responsible for growing a team, building a team, nurturing a team. Like, that feels out of my comfort zone to some extent, even though I have lots of experience of education and training and professional development. So I can imagine when you were in the GP practice as the original pharmacist and you knew you needed those additional people, you probably had to think outside the box and fight for that budget to say, hey, we need more pharmacists doing X, Y, and Z roles, and kind of making a case for why it would be beneficial, what value they would bring, how you can utilize the money. All of that kind of skill seems quite challenging and a little bit overwhelming, like for me, like when I'm thinking about it and reflecting. And now, like 8 years later, you've got 10 pharmacists and more pharmacists than GPs. I mean, that's insane. And that's so cool to work in a GP practice where you guys are the majority. Is that common in other GP practices that you're aware of?
I've not come across any other practices that have that. So, and funny enough, you describing it like that, to me, it's just been a natural process. It's just kind of happened. I've never struggled with it. It's been probably something it's just come very natural to me. Probably from my community pharmacy background, I did a lot of kind of recruiting. You know, you're recruiting for counter staff, you're interviewing for pre-regs. So I've done quite a lot of recruiting to some extent over the first 15 years of my career. But within general practice, it's just been this kind of progression. I look at my job as taking workload off of GPs. You know, that's why I got brought into the surgery. And that's what I did. I just kept looking at things that they were doing. And I'm like, I can do that bit by bit, just kind of taking slight little bits off of them. I look at my job as someone who just has to help with the GP workload. So pharmacists got brought into general practice to help take GP workload away from them. And that's what I've been doing for the last 8 years. I keep looking at what kind of roles I can do, but also do maybe in a more efficient or effective way. So I kind of learn a new skill. I deliver that service really, really well. And then I find someone else who can deliver it even better. And that's how kind of everything's come around. So the first pharmacist that came in, she was actually my best friend. I kind of said to her, she just had a baby and she found it very difficult to go back into community pharmacy. And I said to her, Sanjeev, I said, come and work here. It's an amazing, amazing place. And she actually took on the role that I was doing at the time, which was kind of the prescription processing. And I'd done lots of work and made it kind of as good as I thought I could. And she came in and made it even better. She's really, really efficient. And she just kind of rolled with it. And she's done really, really well with that. And that's kind of what's happened all along. I took on, I've worked in every single clinic, like all the long-term conditions, the minor illnesses, you know, we write fit notes. We kind of have got involved in every single, anything a GP does. Every year we kind of pick at new things, and I'll pick a pharmacist who actually can do it better than me. And that they've really kind of grown from that. And I've got an amazing, amazing team now of pharmacists who I say in front of them all the time, you guys are way cleverer than me now. So I'm really good at managing them. I'm really good at finding their strengths. I'm really good at making sure their well-being's looked after. But clinically, they have just excelled. All of them have. And, you know, we've got a mental health pharmacist who's prescribing ADHD medication. We've got a pharmacist who is has specialized now in trans HRT. So we've got 1,500 transgender patients who have registered with us, and he looks after kind of all their HRT medications. We're kind of excelling in all areas because we're getting these pharmacists in who are really, really passionate about what they're doing. And, you know, as a practice on the whole, what we're doing is we've realized that there's a problem with kind of recruiting GPs or retaining them. Quite a few of our GPs have retired, and it's really difficult to replace them. And so we've brought a lot of advanced nurse practitioners in. We've brought paramedics, we've brought physiotherapists. You know, there are all these kind of new roles that have emerged, and we've kind of gone in and brought them all in. But we've only got kind of 2 physiotherapists, and we've got quite a few AMPs. But yeah, pharmacists are rocking it. We really are, and I think it's probably down to the fact that they really trust us now, because I spent the first 2 years building a lot of trust. You know, it wasn't easy right in the beginning. I had to really prove myself, and I had to make sure, you know, everyone was happy with. I came in and made lots of changes. I thought I improved kind of the prescribing process a lot, but I brought a lot of safety in. I was actioning kind of all the drug alerts. I was making sure everything was being monitored much better than it was before. Those changes were quite hard to bring in, but once they've been brought in, they started appreciating them. Another thing I noticed was that GPs don't really follow protocols. Every GP kind of does everything themselves, whereas I brought in a lot of protocols. We pharmacists like to work, according to protocols. And I've brought those in, and that's been it's been a benefit, really. It's made it easier for pharmacists to join our practice, because when they come in, they can follow all these protocols. So yeah, I've really, really enjoyed the journey, really. And it's just kind of happened naturally.
You've raised multiple really cool points. I mean, I love that you bring up like SOPs and guidelines, because pharmacists live by them and they love them. They love the structure, right? And when you think about a community pharmacy, there's so many SOPs that we follow in terms of our routine. So it's good that you kind of brought in a really sort of specialist, like pharmacy expertise into a team which just didn't know all of those things probably existed, and they didn't know the value of implementing them into practice. When you look at medication safety, of course a GP has that on their mind, but when you look at a pharmacist who knows the ins and outs and understands medication safety from our perspective, and then implementing different strategies into the GP practice would make a huge impact for patients. We're always looking at MHRA alerts and things that are coming up online or through the social media or through certain sort of organizations, where we then implement them into a community pharmacy role or a hospital role. I mean, we use them all the time. And then it's our responsibility to then showcase that to the hospital and widen our network in terms of information, like to nurses, to doctors, to physiotherapists. So you used your pharmacy expertise to build and showcase the value of what you're capable of. And you obviously spent your first few years implementing what probably felt like simple things that you would have done on a day-to-day basis that your GP practice just had no awareness of. And that probably built a lot of respect and a lot of trust. And in episode 1, we talked a little bit about the relationship between pharmacy and GPs. And this must have nurtured that relationship and helped to build more communication around what you're doing to impact patient care. Medication safety is really important. Medicines optimization, all of those things are really valuable. And simple changes can sometimes make a big impact, right? And as you went along in this role, and you obviously hired your friend and then other members of staff, was it sort of chance that you felt like, as an example, say you use one of your cool websites that you talked about in episode 1, and you identified that there's quite a lot of patients who have diabetes or quite a lot of patients who are suffering from ADHD, and you don't have a specialist or an expert in that area, that you built a business case to then hire someone to do that role. Was that your kind of foundation for building the team? Or was there a strategy in place that helped you to identify that, hey, actually, we've got funding for 5 posts, which we can't get GPs for, so you put all of that money into pharmacy?
As a pharmacist, I know firsthand how challenging it can be to maintain our health and well-being whilst caring for others. I am a true believer of making the time to look after my physical, mental, and emotional health, and I love the idea of using natural supplements to support me on this journey. That's why I was so excited to find The Naked Pharmacy. Their products are 100% plant-based and naturally sourced, 100% biodegradable, and it feels really safe to know that they are formulated, tested, and manufactured to the same standard as a pharmaceutical product. However, the most important fact to share is that their CEO and founder, Kevin Levers, is a pharmacist with over 35 years of experience in the pharmaceutical industry. I love that as a community, we can support our pharmacy colleague every time that we purchase a product. As a Pharmacist Diaries listener, you get an exclusive 20% discount off all Naked Pharmacy products using the code PD20. Just visit www.thenakedpharmacy.com and treat yourself to something new.
Probably a mixture of the two. I've been really lucky that there has been all this funding every year, and I kind of get to the funding is usually announced in April, and every April I'm kind of ready to start looking for someone new. And as soon as the funding comes out, I apply for it straight away, and we've been getting it every year. And we've been using that for pharmacists. But also, I think because I've been there for so long, I know the ins and outs. I know where we're struggling. And as I mentioned in episode 1, I use these websites, Open Prescribing, Fingertips, and I look at our prescribing. We've subscribed to Arden's, so we get Arden's reports, and I literally look at reports day in, day out. I love just sitting there and looking at all the reports. I'm really sad that way. And I learn so much from there, and I'm always identifying kind of where we need to improve as a practice. obviously I became a partner quite early on during my journey. So I've been a partner for 6 years now. And becoming a partner meant that I was able to be part of a lot of the decisions. And I was learning and I was seeing things all the time. And I was seeing where we weren't doing well and, what we needed help with. And at so many meetings where we've had problems, we're spending too much on locums, or we can't get a GP, things like that. Not many people would know about, but I was at those meetings. I'd hear this and I'd say, well, I've got a queue of pharmacists who want to work here, and they're cheaper than GPs. Their work ethic is amazing, and we've proven ourselves time and time again. And if you ask any of the GPs at our practice now, what do you think about the pharmacists in our team? They first of all, they'd say they'd never survive without us. And they rave on about us. Every time every time we have a problem, my solution is, let's get another pharmacist in. And they're all very happy to do that. Because obviously I've been very lucky as well. I'm in a position where I can just manage them. So every time I get a new pharmacist in, I spend a lot of time getting to know them, getting to know their strengths, making sure they're in the right role, because I feel like the more effort I put into them in the beginning, and make them feel really comfortable, really confident, and I find a really good role for that person, and then they just excel. I've had pharmacists who have come to me and said they want to find their ikigai. And actually that's a really, it's quite a lovely story, because I was interviewing a pharmacist and he mentioned, as one of the interview questions is, why are you here kind of thing. He said, I'm here because I want to find my ikigai. And it was really lucky because I had just read the Ikigai book, probably 4 or 5 months previous to that. And I love the concept. For those of our listeners who don't know about it, it's kind of finding purpose in your life, but also finding what the need is in society and how you can match your kind of needs to society's needs. And once you've found your ikigai, that's kind of a Japanese concept of where you kind of want to be in life. And when I read it, I felt like I'd found my ikigai. And that's why I really, really related to it. And, someone you're interviewing and they start talking about ikigai. And this was quite a few years ago, and not many people knew about the concept. And he's suddenly talking about this thing that really means a lot to me. I kind of in my head went, right, you're getting the job straight away, because I know how to give you your ikigai, And I spent a lot of time understanding what his purpose is and what he wanted out of it. I think that's something I've really, really enjoyed over the last 8 years, really being able to change someone's life, because they come in. All my pharmacists have come from community pharmacy background, so I understand them really well. I understand where they've come from. I understand why they've come into general practice. And I try and make their workplace as amazing as I can for them. I'm quite a positive person. I'm quite a yes person. So anytime they ask me anything, how some people just say no straight away. I'm completely the opposite. I'll say yes, and then later on I'll think, oh God, why did I say that? Or how am I going to make this happen? And I'll just make it happen for them somehow. And what I've learned over the years is, as I really, really look after them, and I truly feel like I really look after my pharmacists, they look after me. They really do look after me. And that's what's kind of made me be able to grow and keep kind of moving forward, because I can say yes to any project. I can come up with all sorts. I come up with crazy ideas, Anisha, and I know I can implement it because someone in my team, will have that skill. I've got quite a variety of pharmacists, so they've all got different skills. Some are good at one thing, some are good at something else. Some like to work in a certain way, others like to work in a different way. And I feel like I've got a good understanding of that, and I really use that to make us a strong team and be able to kind of deal with anything that's thrown our way. And one other thing that I suppose we do really well is we adapt, or we're constantly changing, so it doesn't get boring. So everyone's roles are changing all the time, and I spend a lot of time meeting with them one-to-one, figuring out, you know, what is their next plan. And, you know, they might not have had a long-term goal or a long-term plan, but I make sure that they have got one, and we talk about it a lot, and try and, you know, make sure they're fulfilled. Because I never dread a Monday. I really look forward to Mondays. And that's what I want everyone who works for us to feel like. And I'm hoping to expand that to the rest of the company now. So I'm now looking after the physiotherapists, and I'm doing the same for them. And that's kind of my first step. And I'm hoping to kind of move into becoming kind of the team leader for everyone in the organization. We've got 103 staff, so I've got a long way to go still. But I feel like, well, I get told a lot that I've done a really good job with these 10 pharmacists, and I want to do the same for the rest of the company as well. And so that's my aim, is to kind of be able to do this going forward for the whole team.
Oh, I love that. So much to look forward to. But I'm going to take you back to the toxic community environment, because it seems that a lot of the things that you've implemented, a lot of the things that are important to you, a lot of the things that you value in your team and what kind of leader that you want to be are potentially things that you didn't have when you worked in community pharmacy.
Definitely.
Okay. And you've learnt from that experience, and you've reflected on that experience, and you've put yourself into their shoes and said, what type of leader would I want if I was managing other people? And you've made sure that you nurture their health and well-being. You're looking at their mental health. You're looking at their goals. You're regularly communicating with them. You're thinking about their purpose. Like, I don't know if your staff realize how lucky they are, but they are so lucky to have you, because I think it's really hard to find a manager or an employer who genuinely cares about your entire self, not just what you're like at work, but how your home life impacts your work. You know, are there different hours that would suit your schedule if you've got young children? You're supporting mums who are coming back from sort of maternity leave, and the old life of community pharmacy doesn't suit their lifestyle. You understand that because you're a parent, but you're also a kind human. Your kindness has made you the leader that you are, and your experience as a community pharmacist and the negativity and the toxicity that you experienced has helped you to shift who you are, to teach other people that, hey, you don't have to live that life and you can have so much more. And I think that there is so much value when you look at employment. If you are nurtured and cared for, and you're valued, you're respected, you're in a place where your manager or your leader wants you to grow and develop and become a better version of who they are, then they will give you everything in return. And not just for you, and not just for themselves, but obviously for the patients as well. So when opportunities arise where there's change, where they have to do something different, where they're asked to cover someone else's job, whether they're asked to take on a new clinic and do longer hours if need be for a short period of time, they'll say yes, because they're surrounded by positive influence. And that is incredibly valuable when we talk about building a team, because not only have you kind of hired people that you are aware would fit in well with the team, that have the skill set, your expectations are relatively low when it comes to the clinical content, but you know you can educate them, but you genuinely look at their personality and maybe how they communicate during the interview, not just what they're saying, but how you feel when you speak to them, because those things are really valuable. Those things make a massive difference when you're hiring a team, because there are people who are really good at talking. There are people who can say all the things that you want them to say, but when they come into the job, they're complaining, they're negative, They don't want to do the things that you're asking them to do. They don't want to grow with the team. They don't want to change. And getting that personality across in an interview can be a game changer in understanding whether or not that person's the right fit for the team. And I love that you also have shared that you've said no to people as well, that it's not the right time for this, X, Y, and Z reasons. And that's really valuable too. So I really commend you for kind of what you've built. And I look at my own brand as Pharmacist Diaries. It's me and my husband. I have a few interns who work with me. Some of them are students, some of them are qualified pharmacists. And I'm not in a position to pay them at the moment. So it's a free internship. They work 3 to 5 hours a week. And in return, I nurture them and mentor them and guide them from a professional point of view, which I love. And I would do it anyways. So, it's a really nice relationship that we have. And when I'm at the point of being able to employ people, I absolutely will. But I have quite a lot of fear when it comes to hiring people, because making that decision the right decision, it feels quite challenging for me. So hearing a lot about what you've implemented, why you've implemented those things, and looking at the values that you would like for yourself, and then ensuring that those new members of staff have those values, has obviously created a really nice kind of team. And it seems like everyone's doing different things. They're running different clinics. They have different expertise. At what point or what roles are there where you work together as a team on a day-to-day basis?
So most of us work remotely because we don't really touch people. As pharmacists, we don't touch our patients, whereas nurses need a clinic room, the GPs need clinic rooms. So this was something that came up many years ago. This was even before COVID. So as I mentioned, my best friend had a baby, and we got her set up with VPN. So she was working from home. And this was a good 7 years ago. It was really new to everyone. And they were like, what do you mean she's going to work from home? And I said, well, most of the things we do, we don't actually need to physically be in the same room as a patient. We can do a lot of the prescription ordering, all of that is all done via our laptop. So she did a lot of the kind of admin work. And then slowly, as we got busier, she started making telephone calls and telephone appointments arrived. And after that, I thought, we could be doing so much over the phone. It's so much more efficient. So most of my pharmacists work remotely. They might come in 1 day a week. And it all depends on what suits them. So I've got some pharmacists who prefer to be at the practice. So they are there every day. Again, I just literally do whatever suits them, what they prefer to do. So because there's 10 of us, because we're all working kind of away from each other, I've been implementing a lot of things. I keep kind of making sure that we all feel connected in some way. One of the things that most people do use it now anyway, but WhatsApp wasn't available years ago. Ever since we got WhatsApp groups, that's been really nice. We actually call our WhatsApp group Family, a twist on a play of words, pharmacists, but we feel like we're a family now. So the term family came about 4 years ago. And we felt like that's how we work. So we've got a group called Family, and that's all the pharmacists. And we've got a couple of technicians and 4 prescription clerks. So all of us we're together, 16 of us are a family. So we've got the WhatsApp group where there's always banter. There's always lots of chat going on. We then, straight after COVID, I felt like people's, mental health might have been affected, and a lot of people were working from home then. So we started meditating together. So every morning at 9 o'clock, we log on to MS Teams, and I play a different meditation every day, and we all meditate together. Sometimes we do breathing exercises. what we've decided to do is 12 minutes. And it's really quick and short, but 9 o'clock every morning, we meet for 12 minutes and we have a well-being session. Sometimes we listen to podcasts, but mostly we meditate together. So that's one thing that's really kind of brought us together and changed the way kind of we do things. It's a really lovely way to start the day. And the other thing that I was actually dreaming of when I was working in community pharmacy, I've always wanted like some kind of group training session. And I always wanted to implement that in my community pharmacy. But because we were always so busy and we were staggering lunch breaks and things like that, I was never able to implement it there. In the practice, I feel like I've got a lot more control because I can just block off people's telephone lists or their appointment lists. And as long as I plan it kind of 3 or 4 weeks in advance, I've got a lot of say of, who's where at what time. So we have something called PharmaGrow, and it's a session that I plan every 3 weeks, and we meet face to face for 3 hours, and I'll hire a different venue. Sometimes we're in a coffee shop, sometimes we're in a church hall, we'll be in different places. And we get together. Sometimes we just get together and bring clinical cases. Sometimes I'll have a speaker booked in. Sometimes I'll have a yoga person come in and, do yoga with us. So it could be any kind of different things. It's something I'm really proud of and something I really enjoy. And I put quite a lot of effort into organizing this for every 3 weeks because I make sure it's something that everyone in the team will really enjoy. We're quite a quirky kind of surgery. We've got quite a few therapists, alternative and complementary therapists working for us. So we have people who come in and talk about this. Currently, our topic is Wild Your Health. So we had someone talk to us for 3 hours about wilding our health. And our next session in 2 weeks' time is going to be, we're all just going to go for a long walk together. And this will be like on a Tuesday morning, 3 hours. I'll just block off their clinics, and they don't normally know what we're going to be up to, and they just turn up and something or the other will happen. And it's something we really enjoy, but that has brought us kind of connected, to meet every 3 weeks and not have to think about work. It's a huge cost to the company because obviously we're losing all those hours, but I think it's a huge gain to the company because it really makes our team really strong, and it makes them feel the way I want them to feel.
Absolutely. I mean, look at the connection that you're creating, those relationships that are difficult to kind of nurture when you're all working remotely and in different places and not seeing each other on a day-to-day basis. It can be challenging to build those relationships within your pharmacy team. So I love that you're bringing them together, and it's not about learning about just clinical topics, because I've worked in so many places where the monthly sessions are 99% educational from a clinical point of view. But I love that you're bringing in well-being and looking after people's mental health, nurturing that connection, the community feel. When I worked for Cleveland Clinic in Abu Dhabi, we were called Family as well.
Oh, really?
It's so cute that you have that. And I love that you've got the huddles. I'm missing huddles now that I work for Great Ormond Street. They don't have that, but Evelina used to have them every day at 9 o'clock and 2 p.m. And it was just a nice way for everyone to just check in on each other. If anyone needed any help or someone's called in sick, like other people can volunteer to support. If there's anything interesting happening within the hospital, like maybe a unique patient's come in with a condition that you might not regularly see, someone will voice that so the trainee pharmacist can go, watch or get involved. So I kind of miss that kind of community connection. But obviously every place that you work, you're going to have different, I guess, rules and strategies to connect people together. So I really like that you also don't tell them what they're getting themselves into. And I'm a big fan of yoga. I'm a big fan of walking. So you need to employ me, Shilpa. This is it. This is great. I love it.
Remote working as well.
I know. It's perfect. Yeah, so it's just really exciting to see that you've truly understood what you think will make people happy, motivated, inspired, engaged, and put those things into place so that you all feel happy to come to work every day.
But it's so easy, right?
It does seem it, doesn't it?
Very easy. And I don't know why people aren't doing that everywhere. I mean, I've had so many jobs over the years, you know, as a leader. And, you know, they do say to me sometimes, and they do appreciate it. They do say to me, you know, I would never leave. Or, you know, we feel, I get really lovely messages. And some of them I do share on LinkedIn, as you might have seen. But I find it, you know, if you're kind to them, they're kind back. If they win, you win. If they succeed, you succeed. And I would not have been where I am if it wasn't for especially my first few pharmacists that I had. They're the ones who gave me then the confidence to grow. And every pharmacist I'm bringing in now, if they do well, it looks good on me. So make the environment a place where they're gonna prosper and grow and be happy and never leave you. You know.
I'm so happy for you. I genuinely am. Like, to find a role where not only you just love what you're doing in the GP practice, but a lot of your role is looking after other people and making sure that they're happy and fulfilled and have that purpose. And to change someone's life, like you said, and take them out of what feels like a toxic environment where they haven't been valued or respected, and to literally flip their life upside down and be in a job where they love being a pharmacist, but they also love being in your team is an incredible story. And I'm so happy that I get to share that on this podcast, because this is what this podcast is about. It's about showcasing this profession. It's about showcasing individuals who are doing incredible things. And you love pharmacy. You love shaping what pharmacy has to offer. You love being part of the community. But when you actually share what you do on a day-to-day basis, a lot of people won't know this information, and they will be so happy to hear that you feel genuine joy going to work every day. And I'm going to end this episode on that amazing, positive, happy note. I hope you guys really enjoyed that and gained some value, as well as some inspiration and motivation from Shilpa's story. I feel completely inspired. As I grow my own team with Pharmacist Diaries, I've now got some new tips and tricks to recruit some pharmacists to come and work with me. Definitely look forward to sharing episode 3, where we're going to talk not only about Shilpa's journey with her role development and what it would be like potentially to not just be a GP practice pharmacist, but what it's like to be a leader and actually transition into partnership. We're going to dive into that conversation for the next episode. So watch this space, and thanks for watching.